How's it going, everybody? Welcome to General Hospital MV, my GH after show. I am a little under the weather today. I have a bit of a cold, mostly a sore throat, no fever or sneezing or anything like that. Don't worry, it's not COVID. I tested multiple times. It's negative, and I'd like to get better in time for a live stream Wednesday, so that is the goal. So let's get into this. When we last left off, Willow had collapsed on the floor at GH, and TJ finds her and gets Epiphany to check her out before the doctor comes in. Harmony was called, and she was angered that a doctor hadn't gone in and seen her yet, and she demands that Epiphany does something, and Epiphany takes it upon herself to check Willow out herself in a way that the doctor would have, and Epiphany gets in trouble by Dr. Nelson for it. That guy is a total jerk, by the way. Willow and Epiphany have a bit of a heart-to-heart about how she wants to become a doctor but feels like she's been a nurse for so long that she doesn't know if it's worth switching career paths at this point. And Willow points out that she used to feel that way back when she was a teacher about switching her career paths, but she took a leap of faith and thinks it's worth it. And with that in mind, Epiphany decides to register to take the MCATs and become a doctor. Are you guys down for Dr. Epiphany? Let me know in the comments below. The next day, Epiphany and Marshall were at the Metro Court and she told him the news, and he was very excited and said that they should celebrate. Portia and Curtis happened to be there, and Portia congratulated her and offered to be her mentor. Oh, P.S. Willow is not pregnant. Thank God. It was just a plot point for Epiphany's storyline, and man, am I so glad that Epiphany is getting a storyline. I feel like she should really be a more stable part of the show. I mean, she is a nurse and she has been on for almost 20 years now, so I think it's about time that they do this for Epiphany. Okay, let's talk about Curtis for a minute, because this week this guy was working my last damn nerve, and let me tell you why. Drew had discovered some discrepancies when it came to Marshall's past, and of course Curtis wants the answers, so he goes down to the PCPD and asks the police commissioner, aka his ex-wife, if she could pull his disclosed files, and of course Jordan was like, hard no. And this man had the audacity to say, well, you pulled Laura's files to check out her criminal past, as if she didn't get blackmailed by Cyrus Renault for it by him holding her son hostage. I'm so glad Jordan clapped back on his ass. Seriously, what a dick. And when Jordan says no, he goes over to Sonny to ask him to use his sources to pull Marshall's files, and Sonny straight up says, no, I don't want to be a part of this. And the reason for that is earlier in the week, Sonny and Ava had gone to take Avery to the hospital because she hurt her arm. TJ was the doctor, and Marshall didn't take too kindly for that. On top of that, Marshall had accidentally dropped his prescription in front of Sonny, and Sonny picked it up. And while I can't confirm this, there are people that I guess paused the footage, and it looks like the medication was bipolar disorder medication, so I feel like Sonny might have a bit of an understanding with Marshall as well. Definitely an interesting thing to have in common with someone you hate. Speaking of Sonny though, can we talk about how this week he covered for Phyllis at Charlie's and how he and Nina relived their Nixon Falls experience? Honestly, if it were any other couple, I would say that these scenes would be considered adorable. I mean, they were humming tunes and slow dancing in the bar by themselves. It would have been really cute. But it's Sonny and Nina, y'all. I find it so weird that the writers seem to be investing in Sonny and Nina in this way, especially when you know for a fact that so many people, and I wouldn't even argue to say the majority of people, do not want Sonny and Nina together. And if you don't believe me, all you gotta do is go to General Hospital's Instagram page, because they thought it would be a good idea to put those scenes on their Instagram page. And all you gotta do is read through the comments, and you're lucky if you'll find 2 positive comments about that, because everything else in there, and I'm saying 2 because I only found 2 myself, but every other comment was a negative one about Sonny and Nina and how they shouldn't be together and how they want Sonny and Carly back together. This isn't going to work for the audience, y'all. You need to give it up and let it go. The circumstances in which Sonny and Nina got together in the first place is so gross that it is hard to root for this couple no matter what. You could give them all the cute scenes in the world and it's still not gonna make it any better for Sonny and Nina. Alright, let's touch base on the revenge porn plot. Now, Michael was thrown into jail for punching a reporter in the face when he got in his face about Joss and Cam's sex tape, and Sonny shows up to try to be there for Michael, and Michael just wasn't having it because Sonny's been putting Nina over his family, and of course Michael takes issue with that, and Sonny has a hard time accepting that. But dude, what do you expect? Later on, Carly is briefed on what went down between Michael and the reporter and why, and she decides it's best to go over to Alexis to try and stop the invader from printing the story. However, Alexis thinks it's best that they do print the story so that no other tabloid can take the story, and tainted. At least with Alexis, she cares about Joss and Cam, and they can control the narrative if they go to her with the story. The next day, Carly and Elizabeth bring Joss and Cam to the Invader offices so that Alexis can question them about what went down and kind of walk them through how she's going to go about telling this story. And when Carly and Elizabeth leave them with Alexis, they go over to the Metrocourt restaurant and they talk about their history, and we even get some flashbacks of Carly and Elizabeth's vile moments together, including moments that we have reacted on this channel, and so I was just enjoying seeing those flashbacks on the show again. Carly and Elizabeth have come a long way, y'all. I mean, they still don't really like each other, but they admire each other's children, so that's something. I think it's a good thing to remind the audience where they were and where they are now and kind of compare the two, because some people like to hold grudges and hang on to the past, and you know, it's at this point, it's been so long since those scenes played out, you know? Like, those flashback scenes were from like 15 years ago, so, you know, it's water under the bridge at this point. Anyway, back to the kids. This week, Joss and Cameron have been going back and forth on whether or not it was a good thing to go public, because Jocelyn is still getting the brunt of a lot of like hateful comments about herself. Cameron's still getting the high five, so it sucks. Cameron hates seeing that Jocelyn go through this and how he's not really experiencing the brunt of it. He thinks it's unfair, but Jocelyn reassures him that it's not his fault that the world is kind of being like this. Things need to change, y'all. It's all about equality these days. Meanwhile, Trina, who is now being played by Tabyana Ali, has been keeping her distance from Jocelyn, mostly because Jocelyn isn't staying at the dorms right now, and she didn't return her texts, but Portia and Taggart encourage her to go check in on Jocelyn, and she does do that. Trina mentions to Joss that she had texted her right after the video had leaked, and Jocelyn was like, oh yeah, I actually mass deleted all the text messages that I was getting because I was getting a lot of bad ones, so I just didn't see yours, and that kind of makes Trina feel better about not hearing from her. Trina is honest and tells Jocelyn that she thought that Esme had gotten to them and convinced her that she made the video, and Jocelyn's like, no, not in a million years. Esme definitely did this, and that's great. They hug it out. However, unfortunately, Jordan and Dante are investigating the situation, and as you guys know, Esme sent an anonymous tip saying that it was Trina that did this, and Jordan has no choice but to look into it. So she goes over to where Jocelyn and Trina are and says that she needs to bring Trina in for questioning. I seriously hope that if Trina does get framed for this crime, that Jocelyn and Cameron don't actually believe it's true, because if they do, I'm gonna be so mad. Now, I'm sure some of you guys are wondering, since you all know how much I adored Sydney Michaela as Trina, how I feel about the recast. I mean, obviously, I'm upset that Sydney's not on the show anymore, but it was her choice. She wants to pursue college, and that's great, and I'm happy for her. Honestly, I actually really liked Tabyana's portrayal. I think that she managed to capture sort of the essence of Trina quite well. She almost speaks very similar to Sydney as well, so it wasn't that jarring to me at all. Considering this is only day one, that's a pretty decent impression I got, so I'm rooting for her to keep kicking ass and taking names. You got this, Tabyana. Anyway, we need to talk about Esme, because this girl has so many plans in play and it's making my head spin. Let's talk about her latest plan. After she and Spencer butt heads at Spring Ridge over the fact that he thinks that it's possible that she did the revenge porn tape, which she obviously does, but she denied it, she makes it a point to sort of make a stance to Laura and Nicholas back at the house, saying that she's leaving Port Charles because Spencer was horrible to her. Laura asks for some alone time with Esme, and she actually says that she thinks Esme is good for Spencer. And I'm like, wait a minute. Laura, Weber, Baldwin, Spencer, Collins can't read Esme? Are you serious? Not y'all dumbing down the biggest heroine of GH for Esme. Spencer's return to home is imminent, and he spends the last few hours at Spring Ridge playing a game of chess with Ryan Chamberlain, with Harmony as an intermediate, and it is ridiculous, y'all. Like, you guys know that apparently Harmony can sort of read what Ryan is saying by his movements in his eyes and whatnot, but you know, this guy was moving his eyes like slightly to the left, and Harmony is just like giving this whole ass paragraph that he is saying to Spencer. I'm like, come on. It just was so ridiculous to watch. Ryan was trying to manipulate Spencer into still taking revenge on Ava, and Spencer kind of seemed to be playing with the idea of it a little bit. But Spencer is also smart enough to know that Ryan was purposely trying to get into his head a little bit. Side note, at one point, Ryan tells Harmony through his eyeballs that he will eventually repay her in the only way he knows how to once he is out of this chair. And I'm like, this man is gonna try to murder Harmony the second he gets a chance to. Oh my god. Don't do it, she was just put on contract, y'all. Anyway, when Spencer returns home, Esme is still there and he asks for some alone time with her and they argue some more, and when she's about to storm off, she drops a pregnancy test and I'm like, y'all, I cannot deal with this. She truly is Nell 2.0. And nobody asked for another Nell. Now, she does say that she hasn't taken the pregnancy test yet, but she is late on her period and blah, blah, blah. Obviously, it's a manipulation tactic. Cameron shows up to talk to Spencer, and that's when Esme takes her chance to leave, and she shuts the door, and she was crying, and she just turns off the tears and smirks and walk away. Like, ugh, eee. So much Nell vibes. Later, she runs into Nicholas at the Metro Court, and she asks him if she can move in with him, and I'm like, this girl, y'all, I don't know. Nicholas is so going to sleep with her. He's so gonna do it. The last of the major plots this week is Operation Demeter. Not a whole lot happened on that front, except Anna did fill in the gang on what went down in Austria, including the fact that they confirmed that Luke was in fact murdered, but there's no way to tie it to Victor as of yet. And of course, Drew has to share to Anna that their plan went south because of Carly, and they're gonna need a different plan to take down Victor. He does mention Operation Demeter to Anna, but she's never heard of it, and there's no files that she can access on the WSB sort of website that talks about it at all, so they're back to square one. The problem now is Victor is aware that everyone is investigating him, so they're all in far more danger than they were before. Okay guys, my voice is really starting to go, so I'm gonna just quickly touch base on some of the other things that happened in like one sentence each. Elizabeth and Finn are back together and they want to remain a strong united front so that they can face whoever has been going after Elizabeth with all this Franco stuff together. Brooklyn thinks that Deception needs a new song with the new chapter, and she shows Lucy her body of work. The one song that Lucy chooses happens to be a duet, and thankfully, conveniently, Chase walks in. However, Brooklyn obviously can't sing, so they need a female singer. My money is gonna go on either Epiphany or Amy, but I think Epiphany would be more fun. Mob boss Selena Wu refuses to let Brad work at GH again, and then she has a meeting with Sunny and asks if she can use his territory for her own shipments, and he agrees to it as long as it's on his terms. I don't know what you're up to, Selena, but you scare me. And on that note, I'm gonna end the video here because my voice is killing me and I gotta rest it now. But before I go, I want to bring up something that's kind of personal to me. Tomorrow, my grandmother is undergoing hip surgery. She's getting a hip replacement. So if you guys can just keep her in your thoughts. I'm not really a religious person, but if you want to leave your prayers, that's fine too. She's nervous. My mom's nervous. I'm nervous. Like, you know, it's a surgery. It's scary. So keep her in your thoughts, you guys. I'd really appreciate it. And anyway, if you like this video, give it a big old thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to. I'd really appreciate it. And I will catch you guys this Wednesday when hopefully my voice is a little better by then. Okay, peace out.